about our children that we have in our classrooms as of late. And we're talking about how quickly they move through the classroom, how they are not as easily normalized. They seem to take longer to develop the skills of focus and concentration and order and those kinds of things that we have seen in years past. And so we've been having this little conversation about, what that might be attributed to. And of course, we all said that we felt like it's the fast-paced world we live in, for one thing, but also that we feel like that technology has a lot to do with it, and how these kids who are digital natives compared to me, a digital immigrant, and about how, they've just been exposed to technology since the day they were born, just move at a much faster pace than we do. And I ran across an article by a guy from LA. His name is Peter Demandis, and he is the guy behind the X Prize Foundation. And I didn't really know what the X Prize Foundation was, but it's a nonprofit organization that designs and manages public competitions to encourage technological development that could benefit mankind. So I should have known from just that much that he was all about technology, but I started reading this article, and he started talking about 5 issues that he had related to schooling today and his concerns about it. And as I was reading it, I thought, yeah, he really gets it. He really understands. So the first thing he was talking about was grading, and that when we give children grades, at best he says it's very demotivating for children, and really has nothing to do with the world that they will occupy as adults. Second of all, he says that he is concerned about the model of having the sage on the stage, where children are empty vessels just waiting for an adult to fill them up with the knowledge that they feel is valuable. And he says that having a teacher stand up in front of a class lecturing means half of the students are bored and half of the students are lost. And I would agree with that. He also says that it's relevance that's a problem in schools today, that he thinks back on his own school experiences and thinks about what did he learn in school that he really uses and applies to his life today. Very little. Talking about imagination and how we teach kids to color inside the lines, and how we've really kind of stomped out creativity. And he says that he's reminded that the day before something is truly a breakthrough, it's a crazy idea. I like that. And it says, when in our traditional schooling do we pursue crazy ideas? He says that he's concerned because he feels like the schools are boring and that children don't have passion anymore about learning, and they become disengaged. And he says that he thinks that standardized testing leads to a lot of that. So as I was reading through all that and I was agreeing with him, he said, if I was a teacher, these are the things that I would want in the curriculum. Passion, and teaching passion, teaching curiosity, teaching imagination, teaching critical thinking, teaching grit and persistence. And he goes on to explain that a little more. If you want the article, I'll be happy to send it to you. So I'm thinking, okay, this guy, he must be more in line with the Montessori education and the Montessori way of thinking. But when he talked about how he would implement those principles if he were an educator, he talks all about technology, and how wouldn't it be cool if kids could fly through the bloodstream and learn how the circulatory system works by flying through the bloodstream through virtual reality. And wouldn't it be cool how if preschoolers, James, could learn coding, and even though they don't really understand what it means, they will just hear the words. And these are preschoolers, 3 and 4-year-olds. And the more I started reading through this, the more I started totally disagreeing with what he was having to say. I thought, okay, well, he's got part of it right. So I went back and I read another article that talked about really what we really need to do is we really need to create a balance in technology. And we're not saying as Montessorians that we don't support technology. We're saying that there's an appropriate time and there's an appropriate place for it. There's appropriate level. But again, if you think back to the teachings of Maria Montessori, she said the most critical time for a child is from birth to age 6. And that it is more important at that point in time for children to have those hands-on, realistic, concrete experiences than to have these things of abstraction that we're dealing with in the technological world. And she says that it's during that time that the children really do learn language and writing and culture, but also they learn grace and courtesy, which is something that I think our children miss through all this technology. When you don't have to interface with someone face to face on a day-to-day basis, and you don't have to read their body language and read the signs on their face, you're not as quick to form empathy and that type of thing. And so some of the neurologists today are starting to say that they're seeing a decrease in things like empathy and sympathy and, being able to relate to individuals in today's younger generation because of technology, they believe. And so they're concerned that some of the world problems that we're facing and some of the issues that we're having are much more directly related to technology than we initially think. So it's really a balance about thinking about where is the time, where is the place for it. And so this article that I'm going to quickly just send around to you talks about some of the things that you really can do as parents at home to help your children. So it says spend time with people doing things. So if you're building strong values and bonds and teaching children how to navigate difficult situations with empathy and compassion, that's all valuable. Teach your children how to read body language, nonverbal cues. So for example, if your neighbor keeps looking at his watch, he may just be checking the time, but he also might be giving you a nonverbal clue that he needs to leave and he's really not interested in what you have to say. Live a well-rounded, healthy lifestyle. Teach children how to entertain themselves. We've forgotten that. I think back to my day, our parents opened the door, sent us outside. We played in the creek. We played out on the property, and then, we came in at dinner time. They didn't entertain us all the time. So it says, go outside with your children, show them how to make a fort from sticks or how to make clouds disappear or garden with them. Eat dinner with loved ones. This is something that I think probably very few families take the time anymore to do, is actually sit down and have a family meal, have those conversations, talk about, tell me something good that happened today, something you're looking forward to tomorrow, those kinds of things. Having tech-free spaces in your home. That's a hard one, right? So much of us, or so many of us, have things like televisions in our bedroom. I know I do. My cell phone laying right by my nightstand because I use it as my alarm clock. But really, you should have some tech-free areas in your home. Demystify media and use it as an authentic learning tool. So instead of learning coding, how about let's Skype Grandma and Grandpa who live in another state, or let's make a video and share it about some of the family memories we have, some of those kinds of things. And then it said, which is really surprising, or not surprising, but convicting, I guess, for me, no media ever for children under the age of 2. This past weekend, I had my grandkids for the weekend. I couldn't wait to turn on Disney Cartoon Network while I was trying to do a job because they would attend to it. But really, it says the American Academy of Pediatrics has made their recommendation that any child under 2 should not be exposed to any form of technology. So that was very convicting for me. So, as difficult as it is, as Montessorians, we know that it's those early years that are critical, and that there's no substitute for the interaction of loving parents and caregivers. So I'll let you all have a copy of that if you'd like to have that.